Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Marika Deemer, a marketing coordinator here at Action Associates. Today's webinar will be recorded, so you are muted. The link to the recording will be sent to you automatically shortly after the webinar finishes. There is no dial-in number for this webinar, so hopefully you can all hear us. During the presentation, please use the Q&A function to answer questions if needed, and we will answer them during the Q&A session at the end. Also, we've provided a post-webinar survey, which is already available in your webinar console. Please fill that out as your feedback is important to us. With that being said, I would like to welcome everyone to the Eliminate Inefficiencies and Automate Your Business with Velixo for Acumatica webinar and introduce our presenter, Gabriel Mashad from Velixo.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you today to give you a demo of Velixo, the most popular add-on in the Acumatica software world. My name is Gabriel Michaud, and I will be your presenter today. I started Velixo back in 2017 after more than 8 years working in the Acumatica ecosystem. I actually spent most of my professional career working on ERP software, and one of the things I discovered pretty early on in my career is the importance of Excel in the software world. Actually, we call that the ERP software dirty little secret. Once people implement software, like they still keep using Excel, and there's a pretty good reason for it. Excel is a tool that is very popular. It's very easy to use. It's very flexible. For many years, I tried pushing people to other tools that I felt more adapted. But what I discovered is that actually Excel makes a lot of sense for business users. And at Velixo, we built a solution that is designed to solve the common shortcomings of what we call manual spreadsheets. So what I mean by manual spreadsheets are spreadsheets that are disconnected from your ERP system. So what I've seen more often than not are users getting to the limit of what they can do with their system, and then they export into Excel and they start updating their spreadsheet and building a report that looks the way they need. So when you do so, usually by the time you're done, the spreadsheet is already outdated, and you have to start all over again. This is a time-consuming process, which introduces a high risk of error. It's also very difficult when working with spreadsheets to analyze or basically drill down on the numbers that you see. And that's the second problem that we solve with Velixo and that I will demonstrate today. Finally, when you export data from your ERP system, you have no way to get this data back. So if you exported something to build a budget, a plan, or any other forecast in Excel, you then need to go back to your ERP system and type everything back manually. So this is what we solved with Velixo, a tool that was built from the ground up for Acumatica. In a nutshell, Velixo brings the power of Acumatica to the world's most popular application, Microsoft Excel. Setup takes just a few minutes, and I will demonstrate that together with you in my demo today. And all you have to do is log in using your Acumatica credentials, and you're ready to start accessing, pulling and pushing data from into your ERP system right from the comfort of Microsoft Excel. Velixo fully respects the Acumatica security features. It's fully integrated into Microsoft 365. And as you will see during my demo, it is very, very easy to use. Today, and I briefly mentioned that in my intro, Velixo is the most popular add-on in the Acumatica software world. It is used by over 2,000 companies worldwide. If you go to acumatica.com, in the marketplace section, you can read some of the reviews from our, I would say, like very passionate users. As the founder and CEO of Velixo, this is my personal paycheck. This is what makes me the proudest, knowing that we make a difference in the lives of our users. So I definitely invite you to check out these reviews. We're also on g2.com as well, another popular review site. And I truly hope that we will be able to add your name to this list of happy and satisfied Velixo users very soon. At the last Acumatica Summit, just a few weeks ago, we also won an award like the Acumatica Innovation Award. Very happy to see the success that we're having But really today, I want to focus on the product, and I think a picture is worth 1,000 words. So with that being said, let's jump straight to the presentation. This is what I enjoy doing, and you will learn a lot more than by looking at slides. Let's start my screen share. Perfect. So if I did everything correctly, you should now be looking at my computer. Liz, can you confirm that the screen sharing is up?
Yes, we can see your desktop.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, fantastic. So you're looking at my Windows desktop. I'm going to basically show you how to set up Velixo and build your first report. Once you receive a link to Velixo, you will get this little package here, and you just need to double click and click install. It's that easy. That's all you need to do to get started with Velixo. So this package installs on my computer. Anyone in your organization with an Acumatica login can install Velixo. It's licensed just like Acumatica. It's an unlimited users license model. So everyone that has an Acumatica username and password will be able to install this package and enjoy the power of Acumatica right inside Excel. So I just click finished, and now Excel is starting. So let's click here and create a brand new workbook. So what you see is Microsoft Excel, the same version of Excel that probably everyone on this call has installed on their computer. There's one thing extra though, that's the Velixo toolbar that you see right here in the Excel menu. So this toolbar gives you access to the key features in Velixo, and we're going to start by connecting the spreadsheet to our Acumatica environment. And you do that by opening the connection manager and then clicking add connection. So it's very simple. Okay, you just need to add your Acumatica address or the connection URL, the tenant name, and the credentials that you're going to use to connect. So this is the same information that you enter in your web browser when you try to access Acumatica. So that's great because as a user, you don't need to know a different password, and your system administrators don't need to worry about setting up permissions. Acumatica has a very flexible and very powerful security system. So for instance, you might only have access to specific companies, specific branches or locations, specific menu items, and all of that is most likely already set up for you in Acumatica. So the good news is that from Excel, when you click connect, you're effectively going to get access only to what you already have access inside Acumatica. So you see the green cloud icon. This means that I'm connected to my Acumatica system. So let's get started and build a very simple report together. So let's say that you want to have a list of all your accounts with the current balance. Okay, something like pretty much like a trial balance. Okay, that has 3 columns. And in column A, we will have all the account codes. So if you're not using Velixo, you would probably have to maybe export something from Acumatica, maybe copy paste from another spreadsheet, or even worse, type the list of accounts manually. Okay, so this is exactly what we're going to stop doing today thanks to Velixo. So instead of typing all of this manually and doing this repetitive work over and over again, I'm going to click the first cell where I want my chart of accounts, and I will click insert chart of accounts right here. It's almost instant. You will see that we have a list of all our Acumatica GL accounts. So what you see is a dynamic list. And by dynamic, I mean that if anyone goes to Acumatica and makes a change, next time I refresh the report, the changes will be reflected in this workbook. So I don't need to update my workbook. It refreshes almost magically when I click the refresh all button. And the reason this is dynamic is because I have an Excel function that is used here in column A, in A5, okay? You can see it, expand account range. So this is an Excel function, just like any other Excel function. So you probably used sum before. Okay, you have 3 numbers and you sum them together, like that. Okay, it's the same concept here with the Acumatica specific function. So when you change one of the values, it recalculates. and the Velixo functions does exactly the same thing with your Acumatica data. So let's say you want to get the account name. We have a function for this. You can just type equal account name. You'll notice that Excel shows you that there's a function to get the name of the GL account. I just need to enter my account code right here and press enter. Now we have a list of all the account codes with names. So let's get the balance. But before I do so, I just want to add a few things up top. Okay, so I want to be able to look at a different ledger, maybe a different company or branch, period. Okay. You'll see in a few seconds why I added that here up top. Actual, that's my Acumatica ledger. All good. Okay. So let's add the missing piece, okay, the final function that we need to get the balance from Acumatica. Once again, I can just go to my cell and type equal and then, just search for the word balance. It's actually very easy to find. But I would like you to see something else that's very convenient. The insert function button right here where I'm highlighting, okay, insert function. This is something that is built into Excel. If you open it on your side, you will see a list of all the available functions. What is unique to Acumatica and Velixo users are the functions that show up here in this dropdown. Velixo includes functions for all the Acumatica financials, so the general ledger module, for the Acumatica projects and construction module, for generic inquiries, so any operational data. There's also a set of auditing and list functions, so knowing, when the report was last refreshed, getting a list of accounts or inventory items, and so on. And finally, we have write-back functions. This is pretty cool. I briefly mentioned that in my intro, but we will be covering the write-back and data push functions during this demo. So let's get back to what we're trying to do now, account balance. So I'm going to look at the general ledger and pick this function here that calculates the ending balance for one or more accounts. So let's click OK. And then we can simply follow the instructions on screen. What's nice is that Excel actually teaches us how to build a report. So we need to have the connection, the ledger, account code. I have my branch here and the period. Okay, so you can see that there's a few parameters here that let me filter on a specific ledger. I use actual, it could be budget, it could be any statistical ledger. We can retrieve the balances for account classes, okay, the same account classes that you have in Acumatica. If you're not familiar with account classes, I will show you right now where they are. So let me go to chart of accounts. And in the account class column here, like cash, asset, AR, warehouse, like this is the account class that you can use for reporting as well. Account class, sub-accounts. So if you have segments, segmented keys in your GL, you can filter. So you could use that to filter by department or location as well, branches and companies. And there's a few other settings. It's quite simple, as you can see. If you have any questions as you're building the report, you can always click the help link right here. And this will take you to the support portal. And on that support portal, you have detailed documentation for each and every function in the app, as well as samples. The product, once again, is simple to use, but we want to make sure that you have the best possible experience. So on that website, you have a set of tutorials to get started, videos, and there's also, if you go here under the knowledge base, there's a set of templates. So ready to use, fully supported report templates covering multiple areas in the app. So this is available and free to download on the Velixo support website. You can just go to help.velixo.com or helpacumatica.velixo.com if you want to get there directly. There's also a link on our main website. Let me click OK. As you can see, the balance is already pulled in. It's fast and almost magical if you think about it. So at this point, you have a fully functional report. You can just format it the way you want, but really, like, you're done. If you want to get up-to-date information, you click refresh. You can just change the date here to a different period or even a date. You press enter, it recalculates. You could have two columns side by side. Maybe you want to look at this year versus last year. You can do that. You can add your own calculations. It's very easy, and as you can see, it's extremely fast, so the system is super responsive. Whenever I change the values, it recalculates the balances right away, just like it did, if you recall, for the sum example. So this year versus last year, let's do actual versus budget. Another good example. So budget, that's just the name of my ledger in Acumatica. It's loading, and in 2 or 3 seconds, you will see the balances. Yeah, so now we have the budget as well. So that's another example. My goal with this first demo was to introduce you to the basics of Velixo, but now let me show you a real-life workbook that was built with this tool. So I'm going to click File and open this workbook here. So this file is already connected to Acumatica. I just need to enter my credentials here. And I'm using my Acumatica credentials. And now I'm refreshing the report. And you'll see, here you go. So the report has finished loading. Okay, so this is a workbook that includes multiple tabs. So each tab has a different view or a different report. And all of the tabs highlight different features and capabilities of Acumatica, of Excel, and Velixo as well. In this P&L, you can see that we've used conditional formatting to highlight specific areas. So here you can see that we have a pretty significant variance for 2 expenses categories. I do have a drop-down to easily switch between locations. I can select it. I can change the date. We do have information on my different companies. So this is a consolidated view. I have a T12 P&L, so that's showing me the last 12 months. It even has a chart. We have dashboards. So everything that you see in this workbook gets refreshed whenever I hit the refresh button in the Velixo toolbar. So you don't need to export any data from Acumatica. You don't need to do any formatting. Once your report has been built, it's as simple as hitting the refresh button, and you always get real-time, up to the second information from your Acumatica ERP system. What's even better is that you can drill down on all the values that you see on this spreadsheet. And that's the second pain point I mentioned earlier when I introduced Velixo. When you're working with a spreadsheet that is disconnected from your ERP system, it can become really hard to understand what's behind all the numbers that you see. Take this line here, for instance, other expenses. So it shows that we're significantly up versus budget, like more than twice, actually, what was, not more than twice, almost twice what was budget. No, I'm sorry, not more than twice. It's 3 times what was budgeted. I was looking at the variance column and not the budget columns. So yeah, so we have 12K instead of 4.5K that was budgeted for current month. So let's try to understand what's inside. I'm going to use the drill down button in the Velixo toolbar to analyze this number here. So you can see we have 12,347. Let's hit drill down. And what drill down does is that it looks at your formula and it identifies everything that was included. So if you have multiple cells, they will all show up. And for all the cells, it gives you a breakdown by account, sub-account, and branch. So if there's anything that catches your eye, you can then click View Transactions to see the full transaction details in Acumatica. So take this line here, meals and entertainment. We can see that we had a lot of activity. So over like 8K for this month, close to 9K. Let's click on View Transactions. So View Transactions will open Acumatica, and it will take you straight to the account details inquiry, where you will be able to see a list of all the transactions in the selected period. So this is Acumatica. So you have access to everything that is in Acumatica at this stage. For example, let's say you want to look at the transaction, you can follow the hyperlink. And once you see the transaction, you can take a look at any file that was attached to it. So here it says Las Vegas New Year Party. Let's open the file here. And it looks like people had fun in Vegas. That's a pretty expensive bar tab. But the good news is that, well, the good news or bad news is that it was posted to the right GL account. So that's indeed something that belongs to the meals and entertainment GL account. And the amount matches what's in the receipt. So now that would be your call. If you want to revert this and say, no, this was never approved, well, you could use the feature in Acumatica that allows you to reverse a transaction if you wanted to. So just to recap, thanks to drill down in Velixo, you can click on any cell in your workbook. Okay, it even works on totals like this one, total expenses. And in one click, you can see everything that was included in the selected cell. So it's a very convenient way to see what's included and drill down to the specific document and transaction in Acumatica. Beside financial data, Velixo allows you to work with project data and also operational data that is in your Acumatica system. On the same website I showed you earlier, we have an extensive set of project reports and construction-focused reports as well. I do have here a quick sample to show you. But really, as you will see, once you understand how to build a very basic financial report, you're pretty much already up to speed on building any type of report with this tool. It is very simple. So 1 second, this is logging in. Here we go. And you'll see this workbook as, if you check, yeah, Excel is still loading. Here we go. Yeah. Okay, so this workbook has very nice looking charts on the first page, and then the additional sheets that you see here all include project data from Acumatica. So this one, for instance, is showing us a list of multiple projects that are assigned to one of our project managers. For each project, we have the budget, the actual revenue, actual expenses, even hours. And this works by using simple, easy-to-use Excel function. For instance, if you want to get all the expenses for a project, we have a function called project ending amount that lets you filter by project, by task, by account group, by cost code, inventory item, and obviously financial period. Same concept that you saw earlier with the financials. So if I change the date here, if I select any other project manager, it will refresh the report and show us what's assigned to that person. There's actually nothing here. Oh yeah, Joseph, sorry. Yeah, this one has some data here. So you select a different project manager and it refreshes the report. Here's a different view of a project report. This one shows the details for a given project, so you can get down to the cost code level or the task level if you want to, and get a very granular view at your data. So again, same concept. If I select a different project, everything here refreshes, and it's super fast, as you saw earlier in my other demos. In terms of operational data, Velixo works hand in hand with the generic inquiries that you have in Acumatica. For those of you not familiar with generic inquiries are basically those grid type screens that you see when you open any screen in Acumatica. This is a good example. I opened bills and adjustments. You have multiple columns. You can search, you can filter, you can create predefined views. And what's behind screens like this are generic inquiries. Okay, this Acumatica calls them generic because you can create your own inquiries and they can be adapted to multiple different scenarios. So all these inquiries can also be loaded in Excel using Velixo. It's very simple. Let me go back to my template here, add a new sheet, and just type equal GI. So GI means generic inquiry. And I just need to enter the name of my inquiry. Here it's AP bills and adjustments. And press enter. And the system is going to load that generic inquiry. Okay, so you can see that we have all the columns returned. You can obviously filter and refine. So if you only care about specific columns, you can just type the heading here. Where's the amount or the balance, yeah, total amount. So you can just include a few specific columns here. And it will refresh. You could filter by vendor, by status. So again, filters can be added, and the filters will work and behave just like the other filters you saw here. So branch, financial period. That is when you change a value, it will refresh the GI as well. So let's move on to the next part of my presentation. Write back, or what we also call data push. So Velixo allows you not only to export and pull data from Acumatica, but it also allows you to push data into Acumatica. And there's many scenarios where that is highly helpful. For example, let's consider a budget. People will often go to their ERP system, they will go to their profit and loss, and they will export to Excel to build some sort of forecast. So let's say you want to have your prior year actuals and then build a budget using these numbers. You could build a spreadsheet pretty much like this one, and then play with a forecast, and end up with a budget that you would then need to upload back into Acumatica. So this is exactly why we built Write Back. As you know, Acumatica already gives you real-time data. So the first piece of the puzzle is already solved. You can retrieve data from Acumatica. If you're building the budget for a different year, you can look at entirely different data. So you can see it refreshes here, 2022. I can see my 2021 data. Good. Okay. And Excel is probably the most popular modeling and budgeting tool out there. For sure, there are solutions in the industry that are highly specialized and focused on budgeting, but our take is that these solutions are way too complex and way too expensive for mid-market companies. Actually, I went briefly over this during my introduction. Let me see if I can find the slide. But there's a survey that was done among other businesses. Where is it? Where is it? Here. It's important. So I do want to bring this back here. Oh yeah, I didn't show this slide actually, so you didn't see it. Yeah, 80% of companies who consider alternatives end up using Excel anyway for further analysis. So this is a study that was done by BPM Partners, and it's pretty much aligned with my experience in this industry. People use Excel because it's a familiar tool, because they can master it, and basically because they simply cannot afford to have an entire team dedicated to maintaining a complex budgeting solution. Excel does the job. We bring you live data. You can build your own model. And thanks to Write Back, that's really what I want to show you now. You can take this budget and push it to Acumatica. So it's going to upload this budget in the Acumatica budget ledger. Oh, I left something blank here. It's actually telling me that my budget is not valid. Amount. Yeah, let's budget manually here. $1,500. One of the amounts has been omitted or left blank. It's not telling me. Okay, one sec. I'm pretty sure this is this line here. So let's do it again. Okay, yeah, it is uploading now. Line uploaded. Yeah, so it did push my my budget back to Acumatica. So you can have your own model. You can link to external spreadsheets. For instance, if you're budgeting for payroll, you might do it in a separate workbook where you have all your employees, like the one I'm bringing up right now. So employees with salaries, annual indexation. If you have any bonus, you could have that here. We have sample models that we publish too. So if you are interested, we can make that available to you. Excel nowadays has pretty sophisticated tool that can be helpful for budget building. This is usually going to be a team effort. So if you need to involve anyone for this process, you can easily tag people, create to-dos right from Excel. Let me show an example here. I will select new comment and I will tag my friend Jeremy. Hey, can you review this line of the budget? And Jeremy can then open the file. He can actually respond without even leaving Outlook. Okay, that's it goes as far as that. And once Jeremy responds, his response will be available in the workbook. If Jeremy changes anything, I will also see the changes that he made in the show changes section here of Excel. So show changes gives you detailed information on what was changed and when. You can see my name because I'm pretty much the only one editing this workbook. But if you had like 5 different team members, their names would show up there as well. So we do write back for the budgeting piece. We do write back for journal entries. So that's also very, very useful. This came up from review meetings we did with our first customers. We noticed that many of them were using Excel and Velixo to calculate allocation entries, to prepare GL imports that they need to push to Acumatica. And when we saw that, we thought it would be a lot easier for them if we could simply write this back without leaving Excel. So let me explain the scenario. It's not difficult to understand. So this is actually based on a real-life workbook. The customer needs to accrue a certain percentage of sales monthly towards liability insurance. This report is built off revenue. So they retrieve revenue by location. They multiply by a rate, and this gives them a GL entry that then needs to be manually entered inside Acumatica. So with Velixo, it becomes as simple as changing the date. If there's any rate change, it can do it. Everything is calculated, and they can use the write back function to push this back to Acumatica. In case you are wondering, you have to be logged into Acumatica. So when I built this report, I logged in as myself. If you're a user with read-only access, you will not be able to write to the GL. So sometimes people get worried that people are going to create transactions without permission. No, if you cannot create entries in Acumatica, you will not be able to create these entries from Excel. Notice too that there's a full audit trail. So if I go to audit history, okay, my username shows up. It's demo, today's date and time as well. So this is fully secure. If you have any validation rule or custom workflow, it will also kick off. This is no different than if the user was manually typing this transaction from the web browser. Lastly, we have the ability to create project forecast. And also, this is probably the most powerful piece of write-back that we call generic write-back. With generic write-back, you can essentially automate any screen or any business process in Acumatica. This works, let me click here, new generic write-back. So this works in collaboration with the import scenarios, so the data integration services of Acumatica. There's a set of built-in scenarios for things like AP bills, AR invoices, vendors, customers, sales prices, but you can also create your own scenarios. So using this, you can import or update pretty much anything in your Acumatica system. And we have customers that took this pretty far. Let me show you one cool demo adapted from a real-life example. So that's an actual estimating spreadsheet. So we have users using it, well, not users, we have many customers using Excel for estimating. So if you're a construction company, you might already have spreadsheets like that where you enter dimensions, customer info, and you use this to generate a custom estimate, something that would not be practical to do inside your ERP system, but where you have a lot of logic and custom rules. So Velixo gives you access to real-time Acumatica information. So customer prices, products, okay? And then using the magic of write-back, you can do things like create a new customer record, create a job, create a sales quote, create a project estimate, and all of that in a single click. So this is the write-back button of Velixo, and this part here is called generic write-back. By the way, it is this workbook here is also on our website. Just search for the tile estimating spreadsheet. Let me see if I can find it here. Tile estimating. Hopefully, sometimes I struggle with search. Using Excel and Velixo as a CPQ tool. So here it's all explained, and you do have even a video, cool, and everything that you need to use this sample. And I would like to finish by showing you the last part of my demo, automated report distribution. This is actually a magical feature, another magical feature, I would say, in Velixo. that lets you automate the process of running, refreshing, exporting, and distributing multiple reports. Let's imagine that you have 10 different branches, and inside each branch, you need to circulate reports on a weekly basis with a current snapshot of your cash flow. So this sheet here, maybe a current project update, your budget, and maybe additional information. So you would most likely need to click, export, email, and do that like in a very, very manual fashion if it was not for the distribution feature. So the distribution feature, the automated report distribution feature, basically automates all of that by giving you a button that will run, refresh, export, and email all the reports that you need. So to use this, it's simple. You first need to set up a distribution list. This is a simple spreadsheet where you will list all the reports that you want to generate. In the interest of time, I will show you a fully completed list. I have one right here. So this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different reports. They're all in different formats, can be Excel, PDF. They all contain slightly different things. So you can have a subset of the sheets, all the sheets, email information, and this bit here is quite important. You can apply filters. So this is how we're going to filter on consolidated or just the services East location. But just remember, like using this tool in one click, you can generate all your reports. I have 5. The work has started. It is exporting. We have 2 reports done already. And now it's starting the 3rd one. Let's go to Outlook and go to the draft section here so you can see the result. I set it up, by the way, to just save this to draft. It's not sending anything. It's a good way to verify the output. But you can see that we have 5 emails, each with different content. This one here has a PDF file. It's filtered. It's only 1 page. There's also a way for you to just include a section of the report directly in the email message. Let's say here, let me show you this one here. I just want to have, let's do demo@rapidbytes.com, snapshot. So in the email body here, if you want, instead of including a static message, you can take something that's coming off any report. So if you have a name range, I do think, profit dashboard, you can select a range, you can give it a name here in this little box, and then from distribution list, you can reference this range. Let's try it. And this will be part of the email that you sent. So let's see if that worked as expected. Yes, it did. So that's your dashboard, and it has the information right there in the email message itself. So that's another very, very useful tool that is included in Velixo. Okay, so that wraps up my presentation of Velixo. Actually, I just figured out why I didn't have pie chart. I forgot to put my branch here. Let's just show you once more. Here we go. So this is what was missing in the other email. Okay, so that wraps up my presentation of Velixo for today. I hope that you enjoyed. I see that we have a few questions in the Q&A box, and I will be happy to go through all your questions today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. At the end, we will be showing contact information, so stay tuned as well for that. Liz, would you like to go ahead with the questions?
I will push the first one for you. How many users can use the product?
Velixo is sold as an unlimited user's license, just like Acumatica. So your license is tied to your Acumatica address. So when I connected to demo.velixo.com, that's my Acumatica host. Anyone can connect. There's no per user fee. So if you're like widgetsabc.acumatica.com, like your license will cover everyone that has an Acumatica login.
Okay. Let's push this one. Looks like we only have one more time, or time for one more. So we're going to go with this one. During the write back function will a copy of the Excel workbook post to the files of the Acumatica transaction?
It is possible to upload files. We've had this question before. Like I would say, like I would prefer to say no at the moment because there's no straightforward way to do it. It's not the first time that we received this question. I think this is a great suggestion and something that I would love to add to the product.
Okay.
And by the way, we have a feedback forum where we can post your suggestions. We are very responsive to customer feedback.
Perfect. Well, it looks like that's all the time that we have today. Thank you everyone for joining, and Gabriel, thank you for presenting to us. The Action Sales team will be in touch with you guys soon, and they'll be following up with any questions that you need answered. We have provided a webinar survey. In the survey, you can also submit any additional questions you may have. Please fill that out as your feedback is important to us. Again, if you do have any immediate questions, feel free to contact me directly. Mine or Liz's was provided in your initial email, so check that out. And thank you all again, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, everyone.